You and I with Rashmi Shetty is a human library audio podcast bringing in stories of people you and I can draw inspiration from. Welcome to the third season of this amazing story listening journey. Ordinary folks, extraordinary lives, their uniqueness and individuality, making them interesting to talk to and to listen to, each one of them completely connected to the voice in me and with motivational stories of moving beyond themselves to make a difference in the world. A reaffirmation of the fact: open your eyes wider. The world is far more beautiful when we acknowledge the presence of both you and I. Our guest today is Sunita Biddu, a digital business coach and blogging mentor with over 2 decades of experience. She owns multiple successful businesses, mostly on an auto mode, her favorite being Unusual Digital, a website and marketing agency for coaches and personal brands. She has co founded it with her business and life partner, Aditya. She works closely with coaches, consultants, and small businesses through one on one coaching and mentoring to build a secure, profitable business and an equally fulfilling life with ample free time on hand. Practical, empathetic, and her result driven approach is what people love, along with her clarity, calmness, and big picture strategic thinking. A celebrated speaker at multiple forums, Sunita values and lives a slow life, emphasizing travel, self care, family, and mental health. Listen in as Sunita shares her tips for the successful life that she leads. She blends simplicity and depth in everything that she does and has shared some amazing nuggets on the way to use social media with complete control. Hi, Sunita. Such a pleasure having you on You and I with Rashmi Shetty. A huge admirer of the way you work, the way you speak, and how measured you are when you explain things. I thought today's social media has consumed all of us rather than the other way around. And no better person than you to understand the entire world of social media. But before we get there, I'm curious to know who Sunita was as a little girl to grow up to be the Sunita Biddu that the world knows you today as.
Thank you for inviting me over, Rashmi. I'm as glad as you are today. And this question is interesting, and the answer might be equally interesting because I see little Sunita Biddu exactly the same way I am today, actually. Your question made me for a moment think about myself, and I see her curious, shy, bold, introvert, fearless. And that's what I am today. So I'm glad that actually I retained that little Sunita as I grew up. Plus, as I grew up, as I see myself, I became more emotionally grounded, a better, bigger empath over time, maybe a little wiser. That's what I see. And yeah, I think I understand life and myself better. And to understand people, the whole life is there. We can never actually understand everyone. So yeah, I understand myself better every day, Rashmi.
Deep, philosophical, and I love the crispness with which you speak, Sunita. But I'm going to take you back again. I want to know where you grew up and were you like a brilliant, outstanding student in class? And did that continue in college as well? Which city of India did you grow up in? And what were your influences like?
My father, he served in police department. So we never stayed in one city, Rashmi. As much as I remember, I might have changed nearly 10 schools until my seventh standard. So we changed several cities, many schools. I grew up in multiple cities. What I love about my childhood is not the school because I wasn't fond of studies. I was never I was never one actually. But I was fond of life. I loved playing. I loved exploring my neighborhood actually. I loved those government quarters where at the backyard there will be guavas and mangoes trees. So I still, as I'm speaking to you, I can actually just smell that. Actually, I can smell that, and it is one of my wishes as well that I wish I could just stay for a week in the same similar quarters because there are still some for government servants. So for studies, no, I was not. I don't see myself as a good student, but I was a gifted one. If I'm attentive in the class, I will remember it, I think, for life. Maybe this gift has helped me throughout my life. It has helped me remember people, incidences, stories, movies, conversations forever. I remember people I like. I remember the conversations even after 10, 15 years. I remember what they wore in that meeting. So maybe just because of that gift of memory, I did my master's. I cleared my UGC as well. I just give all my credit to this gift, but in terms of studies, no, I never liked going to schools. I would always wait that when there will be an off, when Sunday will come. That was the kind of child I was.
Okay. And as somebody who has normally, this is something that I notice in people that children who move cities or change schools very often don't have a lot of best friends because they know they're not going to stay in that city for a long time. Was that something that also affected you in choosing your friends or making friends, or how you enjoyed your childhood and the playtime for you?
You are amusingly so right, actually. You're right, Rashmi. I could never make friends because one, I was an introvert. If we look at it another way, kids who are extrovert, if they change cities, they would have actually many friends.
Yeah.
But it goes the other way around for an introvert. Because we change cities, we cannot make friends. If we just had a friendship, the city would change. We'll have to change the city. So I could never make friends. And that's how I think I became fond of myself. I started, the reason of my high self-awareness is actually this because I could never make very good friends. I did make, I think, after eighth standard, I made good friends. And in 12th standard, I made a friend for life. She's still there with me. And I cherish that years of relationship. But what you said is so right. And it depends totally upon the nature. For extroverts, it's a gift to change city. For an introvert, it's a surprise for them, and they have to decide what they want to do with that surprise.
You know, Sunita, when you started, you were talking about the guava trees in the backyard. So, was nature your best friend everywhere you went? Did you spend a lot of time in nature and connect to yourself through nature?
A lot of time, Rashmi. A lot, actually. As far as long as I remember, I loved nature to an extent where I felt I don't belong here. Actually, this feeling could be alien to a lot of people who might be listening to this, but I felt a lot of times that I don't belong here. I have a rural background. My parents, we used to in our summer holidays, we used to go to our grandparents' house, and those 1, 2 months, I'll go to places, fields, people, and I would see them. I remember myself going to these guava trees and plucking it on myself, watching ladies doing the household stuff. So I have been there actually. And that's how I feel I came so close to nature. I still am actually.
Yeah. And the tranquility of nature, in fact, grows on us as we grow older. So much so that everything around us is a miracle. Every transformation that happens in a plant or a tree becomes a miracle that we enjoy watching. Some of it gets translated into any art form. Some people write poetry, some people paint. So, did art become a part of you? How were you putting out your thoughts with this beautiful connect that you're having with nature and the self awareness that was parallelly happening?
For a long time, I didn't know. what was happening actually. For a very, very long time, I was a child who would just love what's happening in that moment, who is playing with someone, who is sitting doing nothing. I still sit doing nothing for a very good long time, at least an hour a day. I still do that. So for a long time, I had no idea if it is doing something to me at all. I loved colors. I painted for a short duration. I painted several paintings. I wrote as well. I attended Mushaira for a good long time. Then I dropped that. It looks like I kept myself exposed to different form of expressions over time. As life changed, as situation changed, one thing that stayed constant, which did not change, is I kept exposing myself to one or the other form of expression. Whether so today it's gardening. I am raising over 1,000 plants in my own house now. So maybe today in this life stage, it's plants. It's my garden. It's my terrace garden.
Okay.
At some other phase, it was painting. In some other, it was poems. It was poetry, shairi. In some other, it was dancing. So it looks like I have enjoyed and invited, or I would rather say, different forms of art has lovingly invited me to just express myself. I would call it like that, Rashmi.
Yeah, because whatever we have as thoughts needs an expression and outlet. And invariably, it's with friends. If we don't have too many friends, then we go to spend time with ourselves. And if we enjoy our own company, nothing like it. And seems like that way you had a very ideal time with yourself, growing up where you were exploring yourself by yourself and understanding who you truly are. So you said till eighth you were moving cities and you changed 10 schools. So eighth to 12th, clearly it was one particular city. And then on, you said in 12th you had your best friend, you found her, and you still are in touch with her. What is it that you pursued post 12th that took you towards UGC?
Okay, I'm loving this conversation because it looks like I'm going back to my childhood. I belong to a conventional family, Rashmi, where kids are given dreams of becoming doctors and engineers or IS officers. Ideally, these are the only three respected professions as I see. It's totally changed today, in my opinion. But these, because we were kids, we will see everything that our parents would say is correct. And I was a good kid in that sense. So when I was given this dream of becoming a doctor, I received it with all my love and I started working towards it. Around 12th, I realized that I don't like to study. How will I become a doctor? Over time, I realized that I am scared of blood. I feel scared. How would I become a doctor? So the goal of becoming a doctor was dropped over time. Then what is the next best choice? By then, I was grown up a little bit, and then I had some ideas. I loved sciences, and science, those students, those love sciences, they can become a scientist. So I had another dream of becoming a scientist. I opted for genetics for my graduation, and then I did my MSc in biotechnology, thinking that I will be a scientist. Before you ask me that, I did not even become a scientist actually. Just very briefly, I did my internship and my short research period in two of the best research centers in India. One is Ranbaxy, another was NBRC in Gurgaon. I saw these scientists working day and night in the labs, and I realized I cannot see myself doing that for the rest of my life. Right after doing my master's, UGC, and everything, it felt like, no, I don't want to do this. I simply don't want to do this. And it does not matter what I have done so far. It does not matter that I am a master's of biotechnology. It simply doesn't matter because it does not align with what I want to do, how I see my life. Whatever I have done, I'm not going to use this. The experience, the learning, it has polished my personality. So that is what I'm going to retain. So this is not what I want to do. So I chose not to be a scientist either.
So looking back, how did you move? Where did you move? And what were your next moves? When you're so clear about what you don't want to do, easy now to choose from what is available to see if you fit in what you can.
Rashmi, accidentally my HCS was cleared, my Haryana Civil Services, and it gave me another dream that I can become an IS officer now.
Okay.
So I moved to Delhi and I prepared for civil services. That time I always remember because it gave me something precious for the rest of my life. It gave me the subject of psychology, which helped me know people better and know myself as well, know the world. I even wrote a post few days back about it, that how I saw failure, success, hope, fear, everything in that town, and how thousands of students, they will come with hope and they'll prepare for 4 to 6 years, not just 4 to 6 years actually. Someone who has a dream of becoming an IAS, they start preparing right from 12th. So it's like years of hope and optimism. I saw everything, and looking at everything so closely, again I realized that it's a lot of work, and this is not how I see my life. So after preparing for civils for almost 3 years, I realized again this is not what I want to do. I dropped that because I didn't want to settle with something where I'm not feeling happy, where I'm not at peace, where I don't feel that this is what I want to do and this is what I want to continue doing, so my rest of my life is settled. That feeling of feeling unsettled was not acceptable to me at all. And I was okay to keep working on that. I was absolutely okay. But what I was not okay is feeling unsettled actually, or accepting something which I choose not to accept at all. So dropping the goal of becoming an IS officer was another thing, but I took away, as I said, something extremely precious, is how to understand people, how to understand yourself, and not giving up is something that I took from those 3 years. And in those 3 years only, Rashmi, I realized that and now I need to look into myself and see what exactly I have inside me which I can use. And then upon reflection, it was my thinking. I was great at thinking. I was very good at thinking beyond what people can usually think, looking at the big picture, creating the big picture. Over time, I realized this is what I was doing it for myself, actually. And that is why it was easy for me to drop things without. It was easy for me to let go. Otherwise, people will be scared that we have actually studied, we have invested so much of time. But for me, no, it was actually easy. And that is a good trait of a strategist, of a thinker, who can let things go and who doesn't feel scared of working on something new. So over time, upon reflection, I realized that I'm a thinker and I am a risk taker. I can start anything from scratch without thinking twice, without thinking, how am I going to do it? All I know that I can do it actually. Don't need anything, I don't need anyone, I can do it. So that attitude, I realized I have it. And my communication skills I had, keeping everything together. Those days, internet was a new thing. People used to use it for emailing and chatting, Yahoo chat. And that's when it came to my mind that if people can chat across the worlds, across the countries, it can do something for money and businesses. I want to do this because I'm an introvert. I cannot be social. This gives me the freedom of time, my decision, and money. So I'm going to use this thing to make as much money as I want. How am I going to do it? I'll figure it out. but this is definitely going to be the thing that I'm going to use for whatever I want to create in my life. And that was the moment that influenced me, Rashmi. The freedom of time and money, I wanted to stay with that.
Oh, wow. So here is this girl who gave 3 years of her life for UPSC, cleared Haryana Civil Services, and decided you're going ahead. Psychology was the subject you chose, and that in turn helped you understand people. And after 3 years of your life in that space, you let it all go, and you looked at something that was just evolving, which people were not even looking at as something to start on a freelance business basis, to have as your career where you're going to be professionally involved and earn from it. How did you even think that it's going to become as big as it is today? At that point of time, Sunita, what prompted you to understand just the fact that people could globally connect with it, and the way using it, and how people were using it to get to each other closely so that the world soon became a global village? All that happened over a period of time. But what did you foresee that you realized that the future lay here?
Rashmi, around 2004, 5, the digital marketing started coming in this space because the world connected with internet. This Yahoo chat, Google was new, but Yahoo actually was more prominent than Google, interestingly, then.
Yeah, yeah.
Yahoo, Rediff Mail, these were more prominent than Google, but Google grew up over time. So there were digital marketing companies, and the space was evolving slowly. And when I was preparing for civils, and when this thought was coming that it does not belong to me and I don't belong to UPSC, there is something that exists, but again, I cannot work under anyone. I definitely can get into a job. I cannot get into a job and I don't want to. So there must be something which is like freelancing, which can use my creative skills, which can use my thinking. And what can I do? So I did have a little experience with these digital marketing agencies, and the experience was good. It was actually good. It was the beginning of that era. Someone who is confident of creating, and I'm sure a lot of people will resonate with that. Someone who is confident of creating, if they get a little of something, they can make it big enough for themselves and for the world. And I realized that I just need to master this skill. I'm going to work with this. And I believe this is applicable to any industry. If you master something, you can take it as far as you want, and it can go beyond the expectations of yourself or people. If you just master something, and that is what I decided, Rashmi. I decided to master something in that time, irrespective of what it is going to, where it is going to go, if it is going to evolve big enough or not. But the way people were accepting it that time, I realized that this is going to connect the world, and that vision intuitively aligned, and I chose to work in that. I think our gut says yes to something even if it is looking impossible. The thing was looking impossible, but my gut said yes to that. It felt aligned, it felt settled, and I just said yes. I said, if my gut is saying, if it is feeling settled, even if it is not showing me something at this moment, I think I'm okay with that. Actually, as of now, I should feel settled. When we are relaxed, when we are settled, we can create wonders. I just wanted that settlement with myself, alignment with myself.
Wow, that's beautiful. Alignment with oneself. And especially when it is something new, it's more an instinct or a gut feeling that tells you go ahead with it. And it fit into your personality type, and everything just fell in place. You took that step of digital marketing in early 2000s, when one is not many people thought about it, but you stepped into it, and few people were coming in the market, and you thought, why not explore it? But you used a word called mastery. When you want to do something well, you master it. So can you define mastery, Sunita? What according to you is mastery?
Mastery, as I see, Rashmi, is being confident of something, doing something again and again, until the moment you can do that thing without even thinking.
Mhm.
It gets into your blood. It gets into you, and you become a synonym of that. You don't have to think. Like we master driving. Sometimes we don't know we are actually driving. We just master driving. We master cooking. We don't measure things after a while. We master that. And mastery does not mean perfection. It never comes. And there is no rule book of perfection. But mastery can definitely happen. And even a master has to keep practicing for life to stay a master. Otherwise, a master will not be a master.
Exactly, because when you think, especially with the digital world, everything is changing by the second today. At that time, when you got into it, maybe the changes were a lot slower than it is today. But over a period of time, your entry into the digital world was the most well timed decision of your life. But I'm sure over the years from 2004, you have seen how it has evolved in the last 21 years. That's almost 2 decades of your life in this space that you entered by instinct and gut. So, how have you seen the evolution of the digital world, Sunita, in the last 2 decades?
The last decade has been very fast, actually. It has been really, really fast. The first one was soothing. It allowed people to think, to accept, practice, get into it. But this last decade, the last 10 years, it's not giving people time. Things change before they settle. Things are changing. And that is probably the only thing about last decade and the industry. And this is going to be the future. And that is when this new word has come, trend, because it doesn't stay at all. In the last 10 years only, this word trend has come. And this is going to probably stay. I still feel there is going to be a time when things will be static, things will be on hold for some time because it is all being created by us only. And we only will just put it on hold for a while. There will be a time, not in near future, but yes, there will be a time. But this last year and another 5, 6 years, I see people literally getting lost into this world of digital. They are getting lost to an extent, and these are harsh words. This is the truth that they are forgetting they are human. We are forgetting that we are human. We are forgetting our human side. We are forgetting that we have a heart as well. We are only brains, only minds. It's mostly around mindset. It's all mostly around mind. It's transactional. So the world has changed because it has become so fast and it has become smaller as well. Earlier it was large, people had space. They would have space to live their life and let people others' life as well, actually. But now it's so connected to an extent where probably it is becoming suffocated. This kind of connection, this much connection is not healthy either. There has to be some space. So this is what I see how the digital and the real world, the way it has merged, this has happened. This is what I have seen over the time how it has evolved.
Yeah, and you're right. The last 10 years has gone super fast. The last 2 years, ever since the word AI came into our vocabulary, it's gone like super duper fast. The way AI is taking over is scary. So, in these moments when we talk social media, how and everyone's trying to get viral, Sunita. The thing is, following the trend is a must if you want to be on top of the algorithm, and nobody understands the algorithm either. But everything is human managed, yet it has consumed the human being. And whether it's the data centers behind or the entire platform itself, social media has taken over our lives. Somewhere there is a lot of superficiality, like you said, in the way people are behaving, the people are living their lives. But having been there in that space for the last 2 decades, what is one characteristic of social media that you see that has helped it stay on for these last 2 decades and just keep evolving?
There are still some people or some users who are choosing to be, I wouldn't say human, but they are choosing to keep it slow. And you talked about the word mastery. And that's where I would like to bring self-mastery in this actually. Because you're not giving away to the digital world or social media or AI, you are choosing to adopt self-mastery. That means I choose to take advantage of everything that is around me, but I choose to keep myself dominating everything else. And that's what probably self-mastery is. It is required in today's day.
Yeah,
So
true.
that you can stay sane when everything else is looking insane. Insanely fast, insanely beautiful, insanely incredible. Everything is actually insanely great. Whether it is others' life, because everything is on social media. And that's what we see. So everything is looking just unbelievably good. And we choose to stay sane. And when everything is at the surface level at this moment, we don't have ample time to think go and beyond that. We don't have, even if we choose to do that, we don't have time. Why? Because it has become so competitive. No industry is left where there is no competition. People, they are not at ease. I don't see people at ease anymore. Professionally, because they have families, they have themselves, they have their competition, they have their business, they have their job, profession. There is no ease. We don't see ease that people are relaxing, they are at ease. No, even on vacation, they are not at ease. They go for like, it's a fast vacation, it's a fast forward vacation. Before the vacation starts, it ends. So everything is looking superficial. And the only thing that we can do is just adopt some self mastery where we choose to be us, where we choose to be sane. And that's only possible when we choose to do it, when we don't give away. And it is easy, it's very easy to just give away ourselves
Yeah.
to everything that is happening. And
Yeah.
it's natural to be influenced.
Yeah.
It's natural to be viral when everybody is getting viral. It's natural to post every day when everybody is posting every day. If he can, I too can. If she can write so much, I can too. So it's absolutely natural, but just look at yourself, who you are, what is your bandwidth, what is your capacity, where you are in your journey. Just look at yourself. Before looking at the entire world, just take a moment, take a step back and look at yourself. Are you okay with everything? You will still move if you move slow. The main thing is don't stop.
Yeah.
Keep moving. But you don't have to get into this race. You can choose to be you. And that's it, Rashmi.
I clearly see that you're deeply philosophical and spiritual as well in this conversation with this answer. But Sunita, you know, it's easier said than done. Self mastery is something that most of us toil for the entire journey of our life. It's pretty tough with the distractions that are there. But since you've been there right from the beginning, what is it about social media that we see as superficial that you have understood at a deeper level? What is it about social media that we need to value a lot more and we're valuing a lot less? So maybe those of us who came into it much later haven't seen the growth of it. We just got into the whirlpool while it was growing, and so we are still figuring out where we need to be. But people like you who've been there right at the beginning of the journey, how have you seen social media? How would you define social media?
So, Rashmi, there is one thing that is being missed just because social media is fast.
Mm.
What is being missed is the substance because there is information overload.
Yeah.
In that overload, the substance is being missed. And I would come back to the same thing these days to follow the trend, or I would rather say to keep up to the trend, to stay, to match everyone else because you don't want to look like left behind. So to match, you would want to post good looking things. You would want to post more frequently. What I have seen and what has worked and what is working and what will keep working is when someone focuses on the substance, because that is the missing part. In this information overload, if the substance is seen, it stands up. If everybody is choosing to post every day, if someone posts strength, truth, true value, solid substance once a week, it will stand out because that is a rarity now. People love rare things. So that is the missed part, and that is what I have seen, that something that has not changed over time but is being overlooked is the substance in something that people post, something that people share, they communicate, they talk. That substance is missing. And if they just choose to go to that substance and work on that, anyone and everyone will stand out actually. But that's a tough decision. It's a tough decision to adopt and to work on that.
Yeah, I like how you have described it when you say that in the overload, the substance is missing, and that is what people need to focus on. So, when you say substance, and you said social media is substance as well, how do we pick out substance from the pace and are also our own journeys with FOMO and JOMO and every other mo that is possible that if people are giving names to? How do we pick substance? What is substance? Something that I am good at and I need to focus on? What is substance that you're talking about?
Substance is what has done something incredible in your life.
Mm.
Substance is when you are sure that it is going to do something incredible in others' life as well. Not because it has done something to your life, it is not necessary that it will, but there will be people who can find it valuable. You don't have to please the masses. You can change a few lives, just a few. And those few lives will remember you forever because you talked that substance. Substance comes from insight, it comes from real practical experience. We cannot have substance theoretically, we have to get through it, to talk about it, to back it up, to answer the questions, to address the doubts people will have actually. We cannot just read and talk about substance. We cannot do that. We'll have to live through it. And it shows in one. So it is the real deep experience. Doesn't have to be a big experience, Rashmi, but it is definitely the real experience, even if these are just few.
Mm.
But this is the real practical experience one has gone through in their life that they can share with the world because that makes you unique. So it is actually the depth that is missing in today's world. When everything is at surface, anyone who is with the depth, they have a strong root and they stand out actually. So substance is the depth. Substance is the practical experience. Substance is the bag that makes you confident that, okay, please ask any question, I'm ready. That is substance. It is so fearless, it is fierce, and it is solid. It is not shallow, it is solid.
You're not in a hurry to prove to the world that you exist. You're leading your life at your pace. Beautiful, Sunita. This is so nice. And somewhere, a few years ago, 5 years ago to be precise, the world went into this space of slowing down, not because we wanted to, but because we had to. We had no choice with the pandemic striking each one of us at different levels. All of us were afflicted by it, not the pandemic per se, but what was happening around us. It shifted a lot in a lot of us on how we saw life. Every one of us has a pandemic lesson. What has your experience with the pandemic been?
I stayed alone in Gurgaon for several of those months, all alone. I sensed both fear and hope in those days. Apartments next to me, those yellow notices, and that this apartment has COVID patient inside. It is something different that I have experienced in life, Rashmi, because this generation, these people, we have seen the world shutting down, the entire world shutting down. We have seen the century changing. Maybe these two things that we have seen. So that time, since I was always an isolated person, in terms of isolation, it was not different. I was always isolated. I have stayed alone without any social interaction for several years. In terms of reflection, realization, I realized that only looking good and looking fit is not enough. I have seen people giving up for life even if they were healthy. So realized that in those days I realized that it is important that we are emotionally strong and with stamina to deal with uncertainties of health like this. So if you are not emotionally strong, if you don't have physical stamina, even if you are fit, all your vitals are okay, you may still just give up. So those days I invested good amount of time learning about Ayurveda, nutrition, being emotionally strong. I saw empty roads. I don't know why I liked it actually. I saw lesser crowds, fewer people. I liked that as well. I saw a, a new sense of safety and hygiene in people. I liked that as well, which disappeared after some time. I'm having goosebumps because I saw untrimmed gardens outside those commercial buildings, flowers going wild, plants going wild. I liked everything. I remember myself sitting outside those uh, wild grasses, wild flowers for hours because everything was shut. But I could just walk and go and sit. So the world became quieter. I realized life is so fragile. And so are the relationships, Rashmi. I saw people not touching their own loved ones when there was some infection. Such fragile relationships. If something happened to someone, they would forget all the relationships actually. The love, what they have done. And then I have seen another side of relationship that if one person is infected, the other choose to be with that person irrespective of what happens. So much was seen. The fragility of life, time, relationships. It gave a lot actually. One thing that I took away from that time is both life and relationships are precious. And we just don't know what may happen when the life may shut down. You never know. What best we can do is just make ourselves emotionally strong and physically strong to deal with any unexpected thing in life. That's what I felt. Oh, I'm actually still, it just made me recollect everything. Thank you for asking this question, Rashmi.
Fragility and the frailty with which our life is gifted to us. We understood, I think most of us understood at that point of time that we are living a gift. We might as well value what we are living each day and each moment, both with ourselves and the people who mean a lot to us. That's so beautifully said, Sunita. I just want to know, are you somebody who has always been so spiritual, or is spirituality again one of those things that came into your life on the journey because of someone, or you just picked it up?
Rashmi, am I allowed to ask a question in your podcast? Am
Of
I allowed to do
Of
that?
course.
Please tell me what spirituality is because I still don't know what exactly is spirituality and if I am spiritual. So please enlighten me with this. What is spirituality? Maybe I can connect with this if I am.
Okay. There's a very popular quote which says that we are not human beings on a spiritual journey, we are spiritual beings on a human journey. Okay, each one of us. And when I say spiritual, what I mean, what I take as my interpretation is you go beyond, there's no religion in it. It is you live a life wherein you understand the meaning of life and you're exploring just that side of it. And that's what gets translated into philosophy and the way you philosophize everything around you. Spirituality doesn't fall under a religious title or tag, it's who we are in our being rather than just as human beings who exist. That is how I interpret spirituality. And that's where I see you with the way you're looking at even social media, which I've not heard so far somebody saying that social media has substance, it has depth, because everyone is looking at it very superficially. And since you've been there and you're looking at the way people can actually use a medium that is so frivolously utilized, and every connection through that is also not real for a lot of people. You have gone so deep to understand even that. So, that for me is a spiritual way of being. So, if that clarifies.
It definitely does. Thank you so much for this, Rashmi. If I take your definition and how you interpret it, it's lovely. I am spiritual then. And as much as I remember, I have always been like that then. Since my childhood, I have been like that. I didn't know if I was spiritual, if this is spirituality. But since my childhood, I loved nature. I loved being in nature. I liked life. I liked everyone actually. My family, non-family. I liked everyone. And sometimes people would ask me that this person is not a good person, it's not a good nature. It would not make any difference to me because I would still have a very good friendship with that person actually.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
do you gel with this person? This is not a good man. This is not a good girl. But I would just have good friendships with people because I just like them.
Yeah.
Maybe I just like them actually. So that's how I saw. So thank you. Thank you for seeing a spiritual person in me, Rashmi. This is my takeaway from today's conversation.
Thank you, Sunita. Every one of us is, very few recognize it. And throughout this conversation, that's something that I have seen you have done for yourself. That awareness is so important to lead a meaningful life. And that privilege of living a life where you're fully aware at every stage is something that very few experience. And since you have, that's how I saw you as a spiritual being. And that's why I asked you if you have been aware of that spirituality that you carry with you. But now we move into the space I'm sure that you love, three life lessons that you'd like to leave us with. Because I'm sure you have plenty with the way you've led your life, but three life lessons that you think you can leave with us at the end of this conversation.
I have had countless good and not so good phases in life, like all of us, Rashmi. Life never stopped. It kept giving me lessons after lessons. It does. It's our choice to keep them or to let them go. To me, my first big lesson is everything changes, nothing stays forever. Not a good time, not a bad time. Instead of fighting, especially with the bad times, it's best to learn to accept and learn to flow instead of fighting. And that makes the next phase, whether it is good or bad, easier for us. So the first lesson. Second, over time, I have realized the power of simplicity. Try living a simpler life and lifestyle. More space, more clarity, more time in hand for us and for people we love. Less is truly more if we see and experience it.
Yeah.
And simplicity has a lot of power. Less has a lot of power. That simplicity is my second lesson. My third lesson, I would say we all need money, but over time, I have realized time is the true wealth. Whatever we are doing in life, to grow, to make money, to expand, to be big, what's more important is we make time as we grow. Ample time to live at least today, because today is definitely, this moment is definitely certain. Kal ka to nahi pata, but this moment is definitely certain. So whatever we do, we have to mindfully make time along, more and more time. We can always make money which we have lost or which we could not make today, but we can not make more time.
True.
So realizing that time is the true wealth. If we have time, we are wealthy. If we have money, we are rich. And none of us have figured it all. We all are a work in progress. We all are in making. Even if it looks all figured out, it all looks good, but we are a work in progress. We don't have to rush. We will not go anywhere. We'll go nowhere. We are going to stay here only.
Thank you so very much, Sunita. Like you, they are as deep and as simple, a beautiful combination, hard to achieve, but both depth and simplicity very rarely go together. And with you, Sunita, I can see they just seamlessly holding hands and they're walking the journey with you. God bless you. Continue to inspire. And thank you so very much for this conversation on You and I with Rashmi Shetty.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. I totally loved the conversation and it is going to stay for a very, very long time with me.
Thank you.
With that, we complete this episode of You and I with Rashmi Shetty. Do let us know if you know inspirational people whose story needs to be heard. You can write in at rashmi.thethirdeye@gmail.com. That is rashmi.thirthdeye@gmail.com.